This adventurous story begins in a kingdom where the king and his people desired to rise above all other kingdoms. The people of this kingdom strongly believed in black magic, and everyone in the village worshipped a god that looked like a bull. They believed that this bull god was the one who provided them with everything and would lead their kingdom forward. However, the king and his close followers wanted to become even more powerful and conquer everyone else. So, some of the king's advisors suggested a plan. If they placed the spirit of the bull god inside the body of the demon queen, the child born from it would be the most powerful being ever and would lead them into a new era. Upon hearing this, the queen agreed to the plan and was ready to bear the bull god's child. After performing all the necessary rituals, the queen became pregnant. 14 months passed, and eventually, she went into labor. The child, a monstrous hybrid of a bull and a human, was born. Sadly, the queen lost her life during the process. This child was a dangerous combination of human and bull, and the villagers started calling him Minotaur. They believed he was the one who would advance their kingdom and protect them from enemies. So, they began taking great care of the Minotaur, providing him with all the human resources he needed to grow up strong. But a fear loomed over the kingdom. As the Minotaur grew older, his hunger would become unmanageable, and he might need human sacrifices to be kept calm. So, once he was a bit grown, they moved him to a cave, where he could live in peace. Whenever the kingdom needed him, they would bring him out. To satisfy the Minotaur's hunger, the kingdom would send 10 random people into the cave as a sacrifice. These people were chosen through a random selection process, and it was their fate to be eaten by the Minotaur. Now the story shifts to that very kingdom, where the time had come again to choose 10 people for the Minotaur's feast. We are introduced to Theo, the son of the village chief. Theo had a dear friend named Danny, and the two were herding sheep toward the mountains to graze, something they did regularly. As Theo moved a bit ahead, he encountered a witch named Lapras, who lived in their village. Though she often predicted people's futures upon request, most villagers preferred to stay away from her. Later, Theo returned home and was seen telling his father that he really missed Fion, a girl he had deep feelings for. But recently, Fion had gone missing, and Theo had no idea where she went. His father tried to console him, saying, "Forget Fion. You'll find someone better. For now, you need to focus on the village, because you're going to be the next chief." Theo continued herding his sheep up the mountains, but suddenly, he noticed a pack of wolves had arrived and started attacking his sheep. Theo immediately rushed to stop them, but by the time he got there, many sheep were already dead. He couldn't see a single wolf anymore, but Lapras, the witch, was watching him from a distance. Lapras signaled Theo to come to her cave. Theo, curious, walked toward her, and when he saw her face closely, it looked horrifying. Then, Lapras told him something shocking, that Fion wasn't dead like he thought. In fact, Fion had been kidnapped by the kingdom. And Theo could still save her, but only if he killed the bull god. Theo was stunned. How could he possibly kill the bull god, the very deity his people worshipped? A mere mortal couldn't kill a god. After talking with Lapras, Theo returned to his father and told him everything, that Fion was alive, that the kingdom had taken her, and that he needed to kill the bull god to save her. Theo's father was terrified. He told Theo to never even think of such things again. A human cannot kill the bull god. Just thinking about it could bring your death, he warned. His father wanted him to forget Fion, too, and focus on his duty, because Theo was destined to become the village's next chief. Meanwhile, inside the kingdom, we now see a group of royal soldiers entering the village. They began forcefully dragging people away, because the time for the Minotaur's monthly sacrifice had come. As usual, 10 people were to be selected from the kingdom and thrown into the cave for the Minotaur to devour. The soldiers began capturing several women from the village, showing no mercy. Theo was watching all of this from a distance. Initially, he decided not to interfere. But suddenly, he had a vision of Fion, calling out to him for help. It struck Theo, maybe Fion was also taken like this, kidnapped and dragged to the kingdom. Anger surged within him. He ran straight toward the soldiers, but instead of saving the women, he walked straight into the cage the soldiers had brought. Inside the cage, Theo found himself among the other captured villagers. He had entered the kingdom as a prisoner. Soon, all the soldiers gathered and locked the captured people in a large cage. Among them was Danny, along with several others. Theo, who had snuck in, was hiding and overhearing everything. Everyone inside the cage was terrified, fearing that they would soon be handed over to a terrifying monster, none other than the Minotaur, who would devour them all. But then Theo stepped forward and spoke to a man named Ryan. Everyone was shocked to see Theo. After all, he was the chief's son, and no one had seen him being captured. How did he end up here? Theo revealed that he had come willingly, with one purpose, to kill the Minotaur. The others, much like Theo's father, told him that this was impossible. "The Minotaur is a god," they said. "No ordinary human can kill him." But Theo didn't believe that. He knew the truth: the Minotaur was a monster who exploited people for his own survival. Not long after, several soldiers arrived and began pulling the prisoners out of the cage. They were being taken to the king. Soon, we're introduced to King Duca, the ruler of this kingdom, and his sister, Raphael. As the prisoners stood before them, King Duca selected 2 girls from the group, setting them aside as sacrifices for the Minotaur. In the center of this ritual area was a massive fenced structure with a deep, dark cave, presumably where the Minotaur was kept. The fence was slowly opened, and King Duca began chanting, calling the Minotaur to awaken and come feast on the people brought for him. Meanwhile, Raphael approached one of the selected girls and began blowing some powder onto her face, a form of hypnosis, causing the girl to fall unconscious. Then, shockingly, Raphael kissed the girl, performing some kind of ritual purification to prepare her for the sacrifice. As the girl was about to be thrown into the cave, a dark shadow began emerging from below. It was the Minotaur. Just as Raphael pushed the girl toward the cave, Theo intervened, shouting that this was wrong and must be stopped. But the soldiers quickly grabbed him and restrained him roughly. Despite this, Ryan stepped up and began helping Theo, refusing to let him fight alone. But the number of soldiers was just too much. They managed to capture everyone. King Duca was furious. He had never expected these slaves to rebel like this. In his rage, he ordered even the selected girl to be pulled back and said, "Lock all of them in the cage. We'll throw them all into the cave together. The Minotaur will be pleased." Now, all the captives were put back inside the cage. Some of the people inside began blaming Theo, angry that his actions had endangered all their lives. "Why did you interfere?" they demanded. In response, Theo asked, "If Minotaur is truly your god, then why is he kept locked in a cave?" At this point, Ryan explained, "He is the god of the night, a deity of darkness. That's why he prefers to stay in the dark." But Theo didn't believe that. To him, the Minotaur was no god, just a monster used to control and terrify the people. Theo boldly declared, "I'll fight him. I'll kill him. I have to save Fion." Everyone was shocked by his words. Soon after, some soldiers came and summoned Theo. They had figured out he wasn't one of the captives they had brought. He had come here by choice. Raphael called Theo into her private chamber. She gave him a drink that made him sleepy, and then, strangely, she began climbing on top of him, trying to be intimate. But Theo resisted. He loved Fion and didn't want this. That's when Raphael told him a dark truth: Fion is alive, but you will never find her. This enraged Theo. He pushed her away. Just then, King Duca entered and saw what was happening. He was furious with his sister. "You belong to the royal family," he yelled. "And you dare disgrace us by mingling with commoners like him?" He ordered his soldiers to punish Raphael, and she was brutally beaten. As for Theo, he was dragged away and hung upside down in another chamber, where he was being tortured. But King Duca wasn't done with his sister either. In a twisted moment of dominance, he even tried to force himself on Raphael, threatening her for her betrayal. Terrified, Raphael initially pretended to agree, only to save herself, but she clearly wanted to escape. Meanwhile, back in the cave, Theo's friends and fellow captives were being thrown in one by one. They had no choice, no way to escape, only the Minotaur's wrath awaited them in the dark, as they were left to die. As soon as it happened, the Minotaur sensed it, and terrifying roars began echoing from deep within the cave. Everyone realized immediately. The Minotaur is awake. The monstrous creature emerged from the shadows and instantly attacked, killing one of the women. The crowd was shocked to see the sheer size of the beast, massive and terrifying beyond belief. Theo and Danny ran for their lives, dodging through the darkness. This place was no longer safe for anyone. Meanwhile, back above the cave, Raphael was defying her brother's orders. She no longer wanted to be under anyone's control. Pushing aside the soldiers guarding the area, she stormed toward the cave, shouting, "I am free. No one owns me." And with that, Raphael jumped into the cave, straight into the darkness where the Minotaur awaited. Inside the cave, Theo and the remaining survivors continued to move carefully, trying to avoid detection. They knew if the beast spotted them, they wouldn't stand a chance. But even in this terrifying moment, confidence burned in Theo's eyes, as if he truly believed he could kill the god bull and save his beloved Fion. Suddenly, Theo heard cries from his companions, and he rushed toward the sounds. Reaching a group of injured survivors, he gathered them quickly. They all needed to stick together if they wanted to live. Ryan then hushed everyone. "Quiet. I hear the beast." The growls were growing closer. The Minotaur, the monstrous being, could arrive any moment, and they had to move with extreme caution. Meanwhile, King Duca was shown kneeling before the statue of God Bull, desperately praying. "Spare my sister Raphael, take everyone else, but not her." To appease the god, he even promised to offer more virgin girls and children as sacrifices. His obsession with saving Raphael was clear, even if it meant killing innocents. Back in the cave, Theo, Ryan, Vina, Benny, and the others started forming a plan. There was no way out, so their only choice was to fight together. "I'll distract the creature," Theo said, stepping forward. "When I do, the rest of you come from behind and attack together." He handed out whatever weapons they could find so everyone could at least try to protect themselves. But just as they were preparing for battle, instead of the creature, it was Raphael who appeared. And she was being dragged forcefully, clearly captured and in danger. Raphael was stunned to see Theo alive. "How are you still alive?" she asked in shock. She had assumed that the guards had already executed him. But after a short conversation, Raphael revealed, "I'm not on my brother's side anymore. I want to help you all escape." However, Vina, one of the group members, didn't believe her at all. "She's a witch," Vina shouted. "She tried to kill me and my friend. She can't be trusted." But Raphael insisted. "I've changed. I'm on your side now. And I know a secret way out. It's your only chance to survive." Still, no one could fully trust her. But Theo, despite his doubts, started believing her, mostly because Raphael followed through on what she said. Vina, though, was furious. She betrayed her own family. How can we trust someone like that? Theo tried to calm her down, but Vina kept shouting angrily, and that noise attracted the worst thing possible. Suddenly, the terrifying creature, the god bull, appeared from behind. Without warning, it rammed its sharp horns straight through Vina, lifted her into the air, and violently slammed her down. Everyone froze in horror. As soon as they saw this, they immediately followed Raphael, realizing she really was their best chance to survive. The Minotaur finished off Vina without mercy. The group ran through the tunnels and finally reached another chamber, but one of their members, Dia, was seriously injured. Raphael rushed to her, and fed her something strange, a glowing herb or potion. Moments later, Dia regained consciousness. This act changed everything. The group began to realize that Raphael genuinely wanted to help them. Outside the cave, we see Raphael's loyal maid, someone she had secretly instructed earlier. "Open the back gate," Raphael had told her, "so we can escape unnoticed." The maid reached the gate, but just as she was about to unlock it, King Duca arrived. He immediately realized what was going on. Raphael was planning to smuggle the captives out. In a rage, the king killed the maid on the spot. Meanwhile, Raphael had finally reached the rear exit. But no matter how many times she called for her maid, there was no response. They were trapped inside the chamber, and panic began to rise. After several minutes of silence and no movement from the other side, the group started to suspect Raphael. "She tricked us," someone whispered. "She's trapped us here." To make things worse, they could now hear the monstrous creature charging toward them, roaring with fury. The group scrambled to run, splitting up in panic before the beast arrived. Theo, along with Danny and a few others, ran in one direction. Ryan, carrying the still recovering Dia, ran in another. Now only Raphael was left in that spot, and right in front of her stood the terrifying creature, advancing to kill her. Just then, as Theo and the others were moving forward, they encountered a man named Turk who had been living inside the cave for several years, meaning he had been surviving all this time, avoiding the dangerous creature. Turk called Theo and his companions to a spot where they would be safe. Everyone followed him and reached a small chamber. Turk explained that he had survived all these years by eating rats, and this particular chamber was so narrow and small that the creature could not enter, its body parts simply wouldn't fit. Hearing this brought great relief to Theo and the others, as it gave them hope they wouldn't die so soon. However, since there were so many people, the noise they made grew louder, enough that the god bull heard them and began smashing the large surrounding rocks. The creature had figured out that humans were hiding behind those stones. Shockingly, the creature didn't harm Raphael at all. He completely ignored her and instead went after the others. Theo then asked Turk if he had seen his girlfriend, Fian, because he now truly believed she had been thrown into this place as a sacrifice to the creature. Theo still held on to hope that, just like Turk had survived here for years, maybe Fian had as well. Hearing her name, Turk seemed to think for a moment. He said he had seen a woman who used to stay hidden behind the rocks. Turk had even marked her location on a stone. He kept a map of everywhere he had been inside the cave. When Theo learned her location, he immediately wanted to go there. He literally began praying that the girl would turn out to be Fian. Meanwhile, King Duca was shown extremely worried about his sister Raphael. He could hear her screaming from the other side of the door. Unable to bear it anymore, he descended into the cave with one of his guards. Calling out for his sister, he pressed on, but he never found her. Instead, the monstrous creature came face to face with him. The king, helpless to save himself, pushed his own guard forward, sacrificing him so that the creature would kill the soldier instead. King Duca managed to escape through the door and never dared to go back inside again. Now inside the cave, we see Ryan and Diameter. As they kept walking forward, they noticed a light coming from above. Both of them were overjoyed, thinking it might be the way out. Ryan began climbing up to check the place and ensure there was no danger. Once he reached the top, he immediately called out to Dia, asking her to grab his hand and climb up as quickly as possible. As Dia was climbing, the terrifying creature's growls began echoing from below. She got so scared that her breathing became rapid. Ryan calmly told her, "Just hold my hand and don't look down." But Dia, unable to control her fear, looked down, and at that very moment, the monstrous creature had arrived beneath her. Dia screamed in panic, and her grip slipped. She fell down, and in a split second, the creature killed her. Ryan couldn't do anything to save her. Heartbroken, he climbed up alone. Meanwhile, Theo was still inside the cave, using the map to reach his girlfriend Fion. After all this time, seeing Fion in front of him made him incredibly emotional. He ran to her and hugged her. Fion said, "Where were you? I was waiting for you." But in the very next moment, when Theo looked again, Fion was gone. In her place, there was just a human skeleton. It was all in Theo's imagination. He had only been visualizing Fion in front of him. Realizing this, Theo understood his biggest mistake, leaving his companions behind. Just then, Danny showed up with him. But right behind Danny, the terrifying creature appeared. It grabbed Danny and killed him in one strike. The creature was as massive as a bull and a powerful hybrid, so Danny couldn't stand a chance. Theo was furious. He had just lost his childhood friend right before his eyes and couldn't do a thing to stop it. In a rage, he smashed the locket his father had given him against a rock. But the moment the locket hit the rock forcefully, it generated a small spark. Theo's eyes went to that place, and he felt a strange excitement, but at the same time, he was in shock because many of his close people had lost their lives. Raphael, while continuously moving, came to Theo and gave him some support. Then Raphael revealed a truth to Theo. Actually, when this Minotaur, that dangerous creature, was brought here, it had already killed our old king. This proved that the creature was beyond anyone's control. No matter what we did, the god bull could not be controlled by anyone. But now, the entire kingdom needed to be shown that their decision was absolutely right, otherwise, everyone would have turned completely against the royal family. That's why our family spread the rumor that this dangerous creature was on our side, and it preferred to stay in darkness. To spread fear, they had also decided to sacrifice 10 people. And if this creature ever managed to get out of the cave, no one would survive. So, the only way left was to kill this creature. Theo started thinking about this. Raphael explained that this creature could be killed. This gave Theo a bit of confidence, and he went with Raphael to a place. Theo took Raphael to a small lake from which some poisonous liquid was coming out. Theo knew that this liquid was highly flammable, just a little fire could burn it completely. A good plan formed in Theo's mind, so he started going further inside the cave with Raphael. Soon, Ryan also arrived, very angry because the creature had killed Dia, the one he loved. He blamed Theo for everything because Theo had separated them all. Ryan said if Theo hadn't acted arrogantly at the start, they wouldn't have been trapped here. But Theo understood that fighting among themselves would only harm them, so he asked Ryan to stay there and went to talk to Raphael. Theo explained that if the creature came, he would lure it to that spot where he had spread the flammable liquid all around inside the cave. He planned to ignite a spark that would cause a rapid blaze and completely burn the creature. When Theo returned to Ryan, he saw that Ryan had been badly beaten, meaning the dangerous creature was already there, waiting for Theo. But Theo was not afraid because his whole plan was ready. Theo shouted loudly at the creature, "Come at me and fight." The god bull started running towards him very fast. The god bull started coming, and its speed was so high that it reached Theo very quickly. But Theo was deliberately taking sharp, twisting turns so that the creature's horn would collide with the rocks, creating sparks. After doing this once or twice, he succeeded in generating a full spark, which ignited the flammable liquid spread all around the area. The liquid caught fire completely and started to blast. Now, there was fire all around, and Theo was running for his life toward Raphael. During all this, one of the dangerous creature's horns broke, but still, it did not stop chasing Theo. However, the intensity of the explosion had become so great that Theo quickly reached Raphael and jumped into the liquid. Although not all the fire reached the liquid, the creature caught fire completely. After staying in the water for a while, when Theo and Raphael came out, they were very happy because the miniature creature was not dead yet. It was badly damaged but still alive. Theo decided that he would kill it no matter what. He immediately picked up the broken horn, and as the dangerous creature ran towards him, he stabbed the horn deep into its mouth. The big and dangerous creature writhed in pain and died right there. This proved that it was not a god or immortal, even it could be killed, as Theo had shown. After killing the god bull, everyone came out of the cave. Theo helped Turek and the remaining lady to escape from the place. While traveling, as they reached the palace, total destruction was visible everywhere. King Duca was badly injured, and when he saw his sister alive, he begged for help. But Raphael realized that his reign was over. So, she silenced her own brother by suffocating him, ending his life. At this point, Theo understood that after Fian's departure, the only one who had stood by him unconditionally was Raphael. So Theo decided to join hands with Raphael and take control of the lifeless kingdom, becoming its king. And Theo truly deserved it. With this, our adventure-filled story comes to an end.